Hey all, welcome to Coffee Shops and Sunny Spots, our favorite segment of the week, Shoot Your Shot Saturday, where I answer questions and comments from you all and give my opinion on that topic while having some kind of fine beverage. So in this case, we're going to do something a little different. So our topic today is going to be DIY, which that's the norm. We have a topic, right? So we're going to discuss that. It's been about a couple years. I think it was around this time of year when we last looked into DIY. So it'd be nice to kind of refresh that topic and give some new thoughts and perspective on it. But the new part is instead of just doing a shot of something, like let's spice it up a little bit. So we're going to do a cocktail. So actually we're going to do an espresso martini today. And this stuff is amazing. It's from my friends at Lake Erie Distillery. I'm not just making it up saying my friends. These actually are people like my friends, kind of like family. So really good company. I stand behind them. This was not given to me. I bought this with my own money. I stand behind it. They have a great line of spirits they make, and it's all local. Like they source their ingredients locally in Ohio, which is a nice part for sure. Not that you can't enjoy if you're from another state, but if you're here, it kind of that feel good of, hey, this is all from hands in my state. So keeping people employed, keeping people's food on the table, all that good stuff. But their espresso vodka is amazing, especially for like espresso martini, because normally with espresso martinis, it'll have some kind of vodka in it, but it'll just be plain vodka, some kind of coffee liqueur, and then it'll have like some kind of sweetener in it, simple syrup, something of that nature, and then of course some kind of cold brew coffee. So this is kind of helps because it takes out a step because it is espresso infused vodka. I'm sorry, vodka with espresso in it infused that way. I jumbled that up, but you get what I'm trying to say. So we're gonna do that. This is something, my personal opinion on this is something that I probably normally wouldn't make just sitting at home by myself. You could, I guess, enjoy it with a book or something, but as a dude, I probably gravitate towards whiskey or something like that, or bourbon for that type of purpose. But if it's like a good date night drink, this is good for, if you just want to have a conversation. If it's available at some kind of work gathering function, we want something a little more refined than just hitting some straight liquor, or a beer or something like that. Then this is good because it's easy, it's smooth, and this is definitely easy and smooth to drink, but in general, like an espresso martini is going to be a little smoother. And then, like, say, like a dirty martini or something like that. Or my Vesper martinis, I drink the Bond martini, which hits pretty hard. So, yeah, that's my thoughts on that. So let's take a sip here. Oh, that's good. That's good. That's almost as good as like the ones that you can go there to the distillery and get made for you, or any place for that matter that makes a good martini. This is close. I did a little differently. I left the liqueur out because it's kind of, infused in there. I think I just did the cold brew coffee, and I put like some sugar, a little bit of sugar in there because I didn't have simple syrup, and I was informed that it's a really easy thing to make, which I might try that another time. But yeah, I think it's pretty good. I tried to garnish it with some coffee grounds or whatever. I didn't have coffee beans. Usually that's what they drop on them. But a few little grounds I did that on top just make it look cooler. And I've had it sitting here a little bit since I was rehearsing and stuff. So, but it's still good. So, DIY. Let's talk about it. So people get into DIY for a few different reasons, right? It could be for the fact that it's just hobby. You see something cool, want to do it, want to try it, get a new skill, save some money maybe, or get into a business. So let's explore that a little bit. So the hobby purpose. So usually most DIY starts out trying to save money for most people. Like your pipes break or something like that. I don't know. Something electrical goofy happens in the house. Car have issue with the car. That's a common one. Things like that, and people get into it. Now there's YouTube. Obviously, me being an '80s kid, that didn't exist. So usually you had you get on the car, like your dad or somebody like that, or uncle or grandpa would start teaching stuff when you're young, like how to change oil or tires. I feel bad for dudes if they didn't learn that. But that's kind of those memories you kind of have, those positive memories. Usually your family, earlier ones of doing stuff with dad was working on something. Or it could have been in the garage working on learning how to fix something or whatever it may be. So with that, and you can use to save money. So if I can change my oil, I don't know, change oil, spark plugs, whatever, do tune-up, then that saves a ton of money from going to shops. Not to say you shouldn't go to a shop or a dealership sometimes, because you might just need to, and sometimes it's good to have the pros check your stuff out, but it saves you money. But then it could be a hobby thing with cars. Like you could just like wrenching. Like I'm into motorcycles and cars, so that's something I enjoy doing. It also turns into skill development, in my opinion. DIY, getting those skills. So if you can do something, you make yourself way more marketable and valuable. in life in general, as far as being getting jobs and things like that. Say something happens, remember COVID, where the economy kind of got sketchy, and people couldn't work doing certain things because of COVID, like shutdowns and things. But say you have some other skills and hobbies, or I'm sorry, hobby that is a skill too as well. You may be able to leverage that in a case like that. COVID, a lot of stuff was outdoors you had to do. So say you had some ability to do gardening or something like that, or snow removal. Those things had to be done still. So you may be able to get into that. Like if something I have friends who have bigger houses. They have like the little ATVs with tractor on. They manicure their own stuff during the winter. But hey, you can take that to your neighbor and be like, hey, I can plow your stuff out. So it could it's definitely having skills. Zombie apocalypse. We all saw The Walking Dead. We all know what happens. APOC. If you're that person, all you can do is, I don't know, if you're an accountant, accounting is probably not going to be the most useful skill set in that type of situation. But if you're an accountant who happen to be a hobbyist carpenter, you can help keep stuff running. Somebody's like compound or something like that. So, having skills always a valuable tool in life. And like I said, mainly career stuff. I mean, also having that friend, a circle of friends, everybody can do just different stuff. It makes you more interesting. So that's always good. We hit on that to save money a little bit, and then hobby, of course, we talked about just something you enjoy doing. And then, business purpose that we talked about. So those hobbies can mature into like a business. If you're really good at it, people say, hey, can you do that for me or wherever? Then maybe, okay, maybe I'll make like one piece of whatever, some jewelry, sew something, whatever it may be. Or even like say like basic car maintenance or repair or painting. Like they don't want to do some kind of stain work on their deck or something. You're good at doing that. Maybe they're like, hey, can you help me with that? And then you just start doing more and more, and then it becomes a side hustle. I know today a lot of people are trying to get side hustles just to have some extra cash outside what they normally do, because it never hurts to have extra cash lying around, let's face it. So an example of that, talking about those things, is this. So one of my new hobbies is leather work. And people know I do SCA stuff, so like the armor combat and stuff like that. So with that, straps are always breaking on my armor, so I'm always fixing that. And that's super basic, because I'm just cutting some strap material, where leather I have lying around, riveting it back in place, and good to go. It's pretty simple. But sometimes I make belts for the wardrobe I wear, medieval style belts, which you can't just go buy that stuff off the rack. So you have to be able to either make it, or there are people who do make it and sell it. But usually they come to larger events, or then you're going like Etsy. So if you can do basic stuff like that's good. But then take it a step further, there's people who make like leather armor, people who make leather knife sheaths, like all kinds of stuff to support that hobby. So I'm like, I'm just kind of getting into leather work. I thought it'd be cool. So I'm making this. I'm going to get into it a little later. I'll talk about what this is and what I'm making. But it's one of those things where I thought about, because I was making it for somebody initially. And then I'm like, okay, well, if they wear it and people see them like, I like that, then but can you make them one? Like, okay. And like, I'm always big into like, a friend asked me to make them something, I would do it. I'm not going to charge them to do it. Especially have stuff lying around home. But it comes to a point where it's like, okay, someone else sees it, wants to make it. Like, okay, I can maybe make a little money off that. And I think this idea is probably going to be one of those things. And I have another product, I already call them products, that I'm thinking about coming out with. I'm going to prototype and work something up and get it tested out. Because it's like niche, basically what it is. So that's the other thing. That's another topic of getting into businesses and niches versus getting something that everybody can do, or mass production, things like that. But anyhow, here nor there. So point being is, it kind of rolled into a hobby, from gaining a skill, which that's what this is, develop a skill, because this has like some leather tooling done on it. Initially like some stuff like armor repair, those type of things, that was to save money, and then now potentially getting into a business. So that's kind of how it all trickles and develops and rolls downhill. So DIY, great thing, but watch out for the pitfalls of DIY. First pitfall, we already talked about the positive of that, saving money. Saving money. Had to have another sip for that. Because most people get into this thing to save money, but think about it. If a professional says I can do the job in 1 hour, and you try to do it because you watch some YouTube videos, read a book perhaps, maybe have a friend who kind of does this stuff professionally, maybe will show you. But then it takes you still 3 to 4 hours to do that same job. Or we'll say 2.5 hours, right? If we count the time it took you to research and things like that and just muddle through whatever. did you come out ahead? I mean, maybe if it's like a extra hour, perhaps it's not that bad. It's worthwhile. But when it comes 2 or 3 hours, plus if you have other things going on, like you have family, you have kids, things like that. I mean, now you're trying to fold this stuff into your schedule where somebody gets paid, dedicated to come out. If I say I'm gonna be here 8 o'clock in the morning to do this for an hour, boom, versus now you have to juggle a bunch of things. Is that worthwhile? Another of my good friends, and he's a business owner. He's been an entrepreneur for years. He has a great high-end detailing business in Ohio, rehab detailing. Look them up. He has some other stuff going on, business ventures. Just a really good, solid person. But he told me that years ago, probably almost 20 years ago, when I was getting into car stuff and learning more about like trying to do a restoration on like a Datsun. He's like, yeah, even though you may be doing this, but he's like, are you saving money? He's like, how much do you charge yourself an hour to do something? And me, I was just like out of college, so I wouldn't think about any of that type of stuff really. So I don't know what number I threw out then, but yeah, so either way, but it made good sense and it resonates now, especially now as an adult, done more things financially. Like you got to think about those things. The other pitfall, exploitation, like friends exploiting you. And it's terrible to say that, but it happens. And people say it all the time. And you see those memes about that, about like paying your friends for something that they do versus just especially them do like a friends and family deal all the time, right? Good case in point, I do photography as a hobby. Started as a hobby. I had some success at it where I was able to make money when I want to make money at it kind of thing. Been published, had my work exhibited with large corporate art collections and things like that. So yeah, that's something I do. And anytime I get invited to a wedding, not any, there's been like one that someone wouldn't do that to me, but for the most part, the times I have been, the question always happens afterwards, hey, by the way, are you bringing your camera? Well, I thought it was a guest. Like, am I working at this wedding now? Like, don't you have a photographer? And the thing is, sometimes people cheap out on the photography because they think it's easy peasy, and it's not. With especially wedding photography, you don't ever want to cheap out on that, but I digress there. However, the idea is they like, oh, at least I know he's really good, because I have like brought my camera just because I always have my camera, taking photos, and they turned out really well. And my one friend was like, at the time, was like, these are better than the guy they hired who was not, trust me, that's another story, wasn't doing a very good job, we'll leave it at that. And some of my photos actually got used in the album and things like that. But just because I care about what I do, and I'm good at candid shots, so. But don't let your hobbies get exploited where people are just trying. And not to say don't do things to help friends out, because friends help each other out, like good friends do. Like, not the ones who are the moochers, and we all know what those are like. But like good friends, like, hey, someone may do something for me one day, or I do something for them. Like, it's not about money or anything like that. But you get some who aren't like that, and they need to pay you. Just remember, if you're getting this stuff as a hobbyist and you're good at it enough that you could basically pawn it off as this, I'm a professional at it, that you should be getting paid if they need you to do something. I mean, I get doing friends and family deals, but you don't want to get exploited. So yeah, but that's just my thoughts on DIY. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Do you feel like you have a hobby or skill? Let me know what that is. And again, sometimes that could just get things flowing. Because if you have that, post a link to your sites. Maybe someone will see it and go to your sites. I don't mind like doing that. Like, I'm not here, like we've talked about that, to make a bunch of money or get rich or something like that. Or like, I'm not sponsored by anybody. So let's help each other out with that type of stuff. Like I said, if you're willing to like, follow, subscribe, and share my content here, then I'm willing to do that for you as well. But also let me know if you've been exploited too. Give me some good funny stories of one time when someone wanted you to do like some kind of buddy deal for them and it didn't work out the way you think it should have worked out. But anyhow, I will leave you with that for this weekend. So let me know what you want to hear from next weekend on topic, and I will have another fine spirit. We'll probably turn back to going and doing the shot thing again. But like I said, it's good to switch it up once in a while. So take care, everyone. Have a good weekend.